I'm sorry?
What is the check for?
400 for the teacher training.
Oh. So how many days?
The whole thing, these days till December, when he gets back in March,
Oh.
some when he
3 years.
leaves, when he gets in about 2 years. A few weekends in Spain, the training costs over.
I found a phone in the bathroom. I think I
That's it. Oh, yeah.
Was it here?
Literally just everything.
I haven't been there yet.
And you don't have to pay.
Phone in the bathroom, ladies?
Where's girls?
Yeah, yeah, okay. I didn't know you wanted it there, so I bring it in. Okay, that's good.
Or AAA.
So that
They don't want me to. No, I don't care. It's fine. I don't know.
I'm going to, I have to and then switch it. When I talk to them, when I ask them, I don't know if they just put something on or it's just they're not interested. But I'm interested.
So no.
Come back and say that.
I can't really, actually, I can't really listen to it.
No, I did last week too.
Emails, just ask them, you know, so sometimes you gotta do that.
Yeah, so I
think-
just say that I got it.
See,
Actually, I'm gonna see Anne on Sunday. She's coming to my class.
if I'm not early, I'll come, but.
No, that's
I'll
Saturday.
come the next-
That's all.
Oh, yeah, you gotta, right.
I'm doing a Sunday class.
Oh, I
No,
see.
I got it, I got it.
Yeah, well, that's her other class.
Yeah.
If I'm up early, I'll come Saturday, not I plan on coming next Saturday.
2 Saturdays. Every
So how
Oh,
was the paella?
okay,
That's-
yeah.
Remember
So,
that night?
what's first one?
It's gotta give it back.
But there's a regular version and then
There's the,
Yeah, why, what did they use?
yeah, that's, I don't know, right, I
and
realize
that
that.
really, you only just need to do one. There's really no,
Oh, so maybe I can figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah, so I listened, so I
So now we
get
can
to
teach
I'm really well on my phone. Then I found the course, and it was the right version.
Saturday
Yeah.
And
night?
then have the paper that
Picture
tells
that
me
you
this,
showed.
this, and, you know, just.
I figured it would be kind of a challenge for
But it's
you.
kind of good, I haven't
Probably the one is probably the easiest.
I know, I
Wine,
Why I'm just.
Why
Oh, right, Jeff Carr, yeah.
Yes.
So come on, let us start. Why don't you sit in the front? Better that you are nearby.
So I go for the conference.
I know. Someone said,
Move forward and go with this.
Don't get so in the back.
Isabel.
I don't need to shout then.
Business lady, Isabel. Did you have a good business lady?
Okay.
Adios.
Because I was gonna say I get one, but I don't have time for you.
Okay, my idea is to start always with a short meditation so that we have time for the satsang part of the story. So I thought maybe we can do one round and 15 minutes mantra in silence. Sounds good to everyone?
Okay.
One round, you remember the mantra?
You'll pick it up.
Remember a pranayama mantra. So breathe in and breathe out while you say. Okay, so I'm going to start focusing on the main points of giving a course to people that want to learn to meditate or that come to the ashram because you know what, the months that I am not here, the teachers, most of you are teachers, we want to maintain the weekend programs The weekend programs are focused to people, maybe they have tried meditation, other kind of meditations, or maybe not. In fact, my experience is that if they have not tried any kind of meditation, it's even better because they come more clean and they don't have preconceived ideas about what meditation should be or should not be. But we are thinking about people that come because they need something. The experience I have in Spain for many, many years now of people that come to meditate is that people come in general because something is making them suffer. It might be they have a stress, it might be they are going through turmoil in their own lives. They might even be searching for God and that is causing them turmoil, no? They say they might even be crying because they cannot see God, which is a form of suffering. So, people that come here, you have to be very, very respectful because, they come and when they feel attracted to come to an ashram for a weekend, means that they come because they are looking for something that is going to help them. And one has to be very honest because that is a very sacred, for that respect, activity. It's like when you go to the hospice, John, that you take it with the sacredness it requires because you are playing with the soul of others. So it's very important that you create a welcoming atmosphere, that you make sure that the puja is nicely set, that there are flowers, that maybe you have these things with the aromatherapy going on, that you may have teas or coffees just in case people want to have a tea or a coffee. So the first thing is making people welcome in the environment. And so I'm going to describe today a little bit how you do the first session. Which would be the first session in any course in reality of people that are starting to and that want to learn to meditate. So first, if it is in the ashram, I will put the ashram as an example, but it could be, any other center or whatever. If it is in the ashram, of course, you have coffees, teas, you make them feel comfortable. If they are coming for the weekend, probably they will come a little bit before. You have organized the rooms are perfectly organized, clean, with the towels, this and the other. So you do everything necessary so that the environment is comfortable. Here in the ashram it may not be necessary, but you can also do it, but definitely in centers or in places that you rent or you go for one occasion, like a place in the city council where you give a course or whatever, you play the Om tape in the place where you are going to do the meditation class, for at least 15-20 minutes before the class starts, and with the door closed. You can be inside meditating or not, you can be outside waiting for the people or organizing, but you leave it empty with the Om tape playing, and that will create the energy of the mantra somehow, will create an environment that will be very helpful. Now, the first thing that you do in a class when they sit down is explaining them the first point of how to meditate, which is how to sit down. And there are many, many myths about the position in meditation. The classical books, of both the Vedanta, Buddhist traditions, but mainly, you know, the three Patanjali, asana, they only dedicate to asana 3 words. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, there is only 3 words dedicated to asana, which is comfortably sitting down. I mean, comfortably and stable, comfortable and stable sitting down. So there are 3 words. One means sitting down, the other means stable, the other means comfortable. Now there have been treatises and treatises of what that does mean, but what that does mean is different for each person. Because some people are fat, some people are flexible, some people, you know, are used to sit themselves in a certain way. For example, if you ask a Zulu to sit like that, a Zulu guy, you know, to sit like that, they will sit like that. They will be hours speaking with you. If you sit like that you are not used to, it will not be comfortable for you. Right. Well, for a Zulu, yes, because they sat like that since they were little, you know. So what this means is that there is not a position that one has to follow, but there are certain guidelines, and for this respect, we follow the guidelines. The guideline is comfortable, the first thing. You cannot sit in a position where your muscles are holding your body. If your muscles are holding your body, you have to keep your muscles in tension. If you have to keep your muscles in tension, you have to keep sending an order from the brain to the muscles to keep in tension, because without the order they relax naturally. Pratyahara, which is just, you know, the first stage of entering into meditation, meditation would be dhyana. Pratyahara, which is the moment in which the organs of the senses and the organs of action, i.e. the muscles, are disconnected, which is experienced like the sensation of not having a body that probably every one of you eventually have experienced meditating, right? Like when you feel there is no body, well, that is the moment in which the organs of the senses and the organs of the muscles have been disconnected. And you know, if you are forcing a position with your muscles, it doesn't happen. Or it's much more difficult to happen. I mean, everything can happen even if you are, you know, sitting straight as a sergeant of the Marines. Standing straight, you know, because energy can flow in any position, in any case. But to make it easy for you to meditate, the first thing is comfortable, so that you can sit there comfortably and you can feel comfortable. And this is important to explain to people, you know, in your house. I mean, the important thing is while they are here or while they are in the center learning, they will sit down in whichever way they feel comfortable, using the resources available. In this case, I tried to make them as comfortable as possible. And some people might be comfortable because they are very used to sit down in the floor with the, you know, my advice is to have your back supported.
Yeah, straight.
Like, for example, this, which is where I meditate, that's why I bought these ones. But for people of my size, it's perfect. Because, you know, you put here, if you put yourself a little thing here that puts your bump a little bit up, and a little thing here for so that it keeps this like that, it keeps you perfectly, and if you are used to sit like this, it keeps you perfectly comfortable, and you are sitting down. Verticality is important because vertically you are more aware, more susceptible to be aware. You know, vertically is the position of being aware, and meditation is about being aware also. So vertical is important. If the head falls, there is no problem with that. When you feel that it falls, you just bring it up gently. It will tend to fall unless you put it in a position where it is in equilibrium, because when the muscles relax, disconnect, they don't, you know, either the head is in balance or it falls. So you might learn to put the head in a way that without using the muscles it's kind of balanced or not, but if it falls, nothing happens. You gently lift it up. So this is the first thing you do, and then you make sure that people, you know, sit properly, comfortably. You tell them that there are things, it's important that you tell them that while meditating their metabolism can go down, and so they don't want to get cold. So, you know, you offer them, we have shawls there. I'm putting the example of this place, but you know, you want to have these things. That's my experience. You have shawls. Another way of sitting down is this one, in this kind of chairs, because there's another thing also that people tend to do, which is meditate like this, in this position instead of this position. Now this is very easy. The best thing is make people experience that by themselves. If you put your hands like this, do it all now, one in each, looking up. And now you close your eyes and just put your attention in perceiving the sensations the body is sending. Just put your attention in perceiving the sensations the body is sending. And now close your hands, both of them. And do the same thing. Perceive the sensations the body is sending. Now open your eyes. And now tell me, which of the two feels more cozy to you? Which of the two feels more within you? Which of the two feels more quiet?
Closed.
With the hands closed. So it is good to close this circuit, the circuit of the hands, and the circuit of the legs. Now, the circuit of the legs can be closed like this, typically, if you are comfortable sitting like this, or putting both feet together in a cushion. And then you do it like that. It's, you know, two circuits, which is, you close them because meditation or certain practices of meditation, but one of the techniques that they are going to learn is based on, you know, drawing the senses within. So you are kind of closing, you are closing your eyes, you are listening within, you are feeling within, so you are reversing the senses within. So, you know, you want to, you know, close both circuits. That
Circuits, you're saying.
circuits, yeah, the circuit of the hand and the circuit of the feet. That if they are open, they connect you with the external, with the exterior. So these are the main things that you tell about sitting down and the position. So once they've sat down and they are in position, and before we start, we do a few minutes meditation. Now, you just tell them, if you don't have any experience in meditation, just put your attention in your breath, that you breathe in and breathe out. If you have any experience in meditation, just do the meditation you normally do. And while the people are doing this meditation, what you do is a prayer. Because what you do is that you are now going to put yourself, let's put it in that way, in the hands of God, to be of any service to those people these people that you have in front of you. And you have to be humble enough to, recognize that it has to be Him that inspires you. Because you by yourself, really, what do you know? So you have to kind of put yourself into that attitude, into that. So there are many ways of doing this. Guruji, for example, in one of the teachers' meetings, he suggested this prayer that I'm going to put you now, which is a prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi, that you might know. There is a telephone there sounding. Okay, and I need to connect this also.
Start the course of the prayer, and it's a prayer from St. Francis of Assisi. I'm sure you all know it.
Translated to Spanish, but I don't have all the original.
Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace.
Señor, hazme un instrumento de tu paz.
Where his hatred, let me sow love.
Que donde haya odio pueda traer el amor.
Where there is injury, let me sow pardon.
Que donde haya daño pueda yo traer el perdón.
Where there is doubt, let me sow faith.
Que donde haya duda pueda yo traer la fe.
Where there is despair, let me sow hope.
Que donde haya desesperanza pueda traer yo la esperanza.
Where there is darkness, let me sow light.
Que donde haya oscuridad pueda yo traer la luz.
Where there is sadness, let me sow joy.
Que donde haya tristeza pueda yo traer el gozo.
O Divine Master,
Oh Divino Maestro,
grant that I may not so much seek
concédeme que yo no tenga que buscar
to be consoled as to console,
el consuelo, sino consolar,
to be understood as to understand,
el ser comprendido, sino el comprender,
to be loved as to love.
el ser amado, sino amar,
For it is in giving that we receive,
porque es dando que recibimos,
it is in pardoning that we are pardoned,
es en el perdonar que somos perdonados,
it is in dying that we are born
y es en el morir que nacemos
to eternal life.
a la vida eterna.
Amen.
Amén.
A few minutes of meditation together.
Unos minutos de meditación.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I think it was an appropriate prayer
Creo que fue una oración adecuada
to start off with as teachers.
para empezar nosotros hoy, profesores
Teachers whose aim is to serve,
cuyo objetivo es servir
to love,
al amor,
not thinking of themselves,
no pensando en ellos mismos,
not really wanting to be loved,
no realmente queriendo ser amados,
but to love,
sino amar,
not wanting to be served,
no queriendo ser servidos,
but to serve,
sino servir,
and inspire humanity
y inspirar a la humanidad
so that they could realize a reach within themselves
para que se pueda dar cuenta del alcance que hay en sí mismos
and find the joy
y de encontrar el gozo,
that some of us has found.
de encontrar el gozo que algunos de nosotros hemos encontrado.
That is the mission of life.
Esa es la misión de la vida,
That is the purpose of life.
ese es el propósito de la vida,
Where life is not only lived
donde la vida no solamente es vivida
for oneself only,
para uno mismo solamente,
but to be shared with the world.
sino para ser compartida con el mundo.
And that is how, in the sharing,
Y es así como en el compartir
one benefits the most.
que uno se beneficia al que más.
When one shares,
Cuando uno comparte,
you can only share if you have something.
y solamente puedes compartir si tienes algo,
And in that very sharing,
y en ese compartir
an expansion takes place.
se produce una expansión.
The heart expands,
El corazón se expande,
the mind expands in greater awareness,
la mente se expande en una mayor conciencia
and everything around us
y todo a nuestro alrededor
assumes a form
asume una forma,
that we would have never dreamt of
una forma en la que jamás hemos soñado.
some years ago.
Algunos años atrás
Everything becomes good, godly,
todo se hace bueno, divino,
divine,
divino.
so beautiful.
Es tan bello
And in this beauty,
y en esta belleza
we just melt away,
simplemente nos fundimos
into another world, into another dimension,
en este otro mundo, en esa otra dimensión,
and bring back with us
y traemos de vuelta con nosotros
the power, the force
el poder, la fuerza
of that dimension
de esa dimensión
into this dimension.
a esta dimensión.
So, this prayer was very appropriate
Así pues, que esta oración era muy apropiada
for teachers to start with remembering one thing,
porque los profesores deben de empezar recordando una cosa,
that life
que la vida
is made to give
está hecha para dar
and not to take.
y no para coger,
For it is in giving
pues es en el dar
that we really receive,
en que realmente recibimos,
that we really receive the true knowledge
que realmente recibimos el verdadero
which is
conocimiento
inherent within us.
que es inherente en nosotros
And we use that knowledge wisely
y utilizamos ese conocimiento sabiamente
in service.
en servicio.
Fine.
Bien, así la primera. So, this is basically the attitude of the teacher. It's a service. You can only share what you have, so although we are going to kind of follow certain guidelines and I will be giving you some knowledge, it is your own knowingness, and I will put a satsang of Guru Raj later to further expand into this idea. It is your own experience, your own knowingness, your own heart, what you are going to share. So it is you that you have to, make this act of surrender and, let your heart flow naturally and spontaneously. Just following a guideline, but the true to yourself you are, the better, and the more that you forget about yourself and your own self-importance, and you really in that prayer, assume that you are not important, they are important, the better. Because then the heart will tell you what to say, when to say, what to do. So you start with a meditation, people are meditating, you are doing your prayer, then you call the meditation ended. I use the Gayatri Mantra. If you are inspired by the Gayatri Mantra, you can use the Gayatri Mantra also. But use something that inspires you, something that, I would advise to use the Gayatri Mantra. It's our tradition, at least in this house.
What's the mantra?
Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi was the mantra that Guruji said after the short meditation every time. So it's a tradition started by Guru Raj, for that respect. Which is the one I say, which is the Gayatri Mantra. It's, you put in YouTube Gayatri Mantra, you will get Deva Premal, all sorts of people doing the Gayatri Mantra. It's the prayer which is there in your initiation of mantra, in all the initiations, is the prayer. The first part is the Gayatri Mantra. Well, it's kind of the prayer is the full Gayatri Mantra. So, and after you do this meditation, you do the Namaste. And that is also very important, because there might be people that know the sign. Today, more and more people know the word and the act of saying Namaste. In fact, there is one person in the news that I saw the other day that says goodbye with Namaste in one of the news chains. Yeah, one of the guys, it was one of the big ones, one of the big chains. I don't know which one was, CNN or which one, but it was a big one, a news anchor. And saying goodbye, he said, well, have a good night, namaste. So not many people know the namaste thing.
No, users didn't work.
But some people don't, and the idea is not that they know the namaste, but that they know the meaning of the namaste and the practice of the namaste. Because in reality, it is a practice. The practice is based on and that you will be able to, share this practice with others as much as you practice it, as much as you have assimilated it. Things Guruji used to say, by spiritual teaching first, you listen to it, which is kind of like food, you eat it, you listen to it. Then you digest it, which means you intellectually process it, and and you find it, you digest it, intellectually. And then once you digest the food, that vegetable becomes part of your body. Once you have, assimilated it intellectually, it becomes part of your life. Then it becomes part of your life. So you will be able to share of these teachings everything that has become part of your life to a certain extent at least. And the Namaste practice is training yourself or disciplining your mind to, with what you think, with what you speak, and with what you feel, see in the other not the superficial qualities, of that asshole that you might see instead, but see and realize that within him there is a heart beating like within you. And the awareness, his awareness and your awareness is the same thing in reality. And the love you feel and the love the other person feels is the same love in reality. we tend to see everything putting ourselves in the center. We see everything with respect to us. So everything we interpret it with respect to. You don't put yourself in the surface and consider yourself like any other object. And then instead of interpreting from your little eye, you interpret the whole picture. And then you are just you, or the little eye is just, you know, another, because we are all bullshitters. So it's not that we all have a bullshitter covering us, all of us. And if you have not recognized it, is that you have not looked yourself in the mirror. We all have a bullshitter covering us. So, but we don't put the emphasis in that. We put the emphasis in the heart, because we all have a heart. And naturally, we are bound to, when we see another person, we don't put the emphasis in that. We don't put the emphasis in the divine aspect of the other person. We put the emphasis in the superficial values, in our opinion of the other person, in our beliefs of the other person, in our judgments of the other person. If we are a little bit angry that day, you know, you go out your house and there is no one that gets out without a judgment and condemned for something. So, you know, we explain what Namaste means, that we do it ritually after the meditation, but that it is a practice. You know that when you look at another human being, you try to feel the other human being. Instead of thinking about the other human being, put the emphasis in feeling the other human being. Try to feel what the other person feels, with the just intent, with the only intent of putting your attention in the feeling of the other person. You are somehow saying Namaste, because his feeling and your feeling is in fact the same feeling. Because it works that way, it's the same energy. If he's in front of you, the energy exchange is you are feeling the same energies. So, and you know, it's a practice. It's a practice that one of the objectives of teaching what we are going to teach is kind of eradicating the judgmental mind. The mind that is based on the ancient story of good and evil. And you know, humanity has been trained for generations and generations and generations in the idea of good and evil. So there are good things and there are bad things. Scientists, when they are trying to understand nature, they found out in the illustration that they could not be following moral codes to understand how things work. Because a scientist could not say, you know, an electron is bad and a proton is good. Or, you know, the gazelles in Africa are good and the lions that eat them are bad. Because, you know, it's not that it's good or bad. You know, everybody thinks good and bad. You know, a Republican will say, oh, the Democrats are bad. And a Democrat will say, oh, these Republicans are bad. Now, which of them is good, which of them is bad? Manifestation is a polarity. Polarities are required. So everything is a polarity, and one thing affects the other. And you have sattvas, like the three gunas. You have sattvas, light and darkness, and tamas. But both are needed. Without them both, you would not have the movement, which is rajas, which is this manifestation. This is how things work here. And it is neither good nor bad. it's how things work. We were speaking yesterday at Mary's house, you know, if there are bad people, you know. I that have been teaching in prisons, and Monica that taught with me for 4 years, can bear me out in this one, didn't see a single bad person in the prison. I met people with terrible stories, you know, terrible lives, terrible misunderstandings, and terrible pain, but not bad people. That I could say, oh, this bad, like, if bad, it means, bad is always, you know, you want to eradicate bad is like bad, you have to take it away. No, you cannot take away the lions and you cannot take away the electrons. You have to keep them in balance. And one of the main things, and it's a teaching that is in nearly every tradition, is don't judge and you will not be judged. Which means discard your judgmental mind. Discard all your opinions of how things should be. Instead of thinking how things should be, what you want to know is how things are. Because what do you know of how things should be? I mean, we are not able to deal with our own lives, and we think that we know how things should be. You know, with what wisdom, with what knowledge, what do we know about the energies that govern this world? So one of the main things that during a course you want to stress out is people to start realizing that they cannot go in life judging everybody around them. You know, they want to understand people around them. Stand under. Put yourself below and try to understand. Don't think that you have the right answer. Don't think that you know better. You simply try to know what is out there and do namaste, which means realize that whatever bullshitter you have in front of you, he is as bullshitter as you, so you know you are in good company. So, after you explain the namaste, and it's good to explain it well because then during the course we are going to pick it up more times, then normally what I do is I do a first meditation practice that I will, after the meditation, I will leave them 10 to 15 minutes for a coffee, you know, so that they get out of meditation nicely. So in this first class, during these 8 classes, I'm going to kind of give you in as best detail as possible how it would be to do a preparatory course for people that are starting and want to start meditating. So after I have explained this, you know, I'm going to explain them the first practice, but before that I use that, after explaining the namaste, to have everybody introduce themselves. So then I say, you know, we have entered, we have done the meditation, I've done my prayer, I've explained the namaste. Again, I am telling you how I explain it. The best way you can explain it is explain it in the way you do it yourself, because that is what you are going to be able to share. You know, let your heart express, you know, put yourself in the hands of God, and this will oblige you, being a teacher, to be more regular in your practices, because you don't want to go in front of your students and say, do as I say, not as I do. You want to, because if you say, do as I say, not as I do, then it is not so powerful what you are saying. It doesn't reach the other person. So then, people will introduce themselves. I usually ask them to introduce themselves by asking them a simple question is, what does a person like you do in a place like this? And I let them speak about it. So, but you can do it that way, or you can do it any other way. You want to people know each other. You want to make people welcome, with whatever they tell you. Some of them may speak about their problems or not. Some of them, whatever they say, it's a way of getting people to know each other. And after explaining the Namaste thing, and after the meditation, and because of all the environment that you have created to begin with, people normally will be relaxed and will help that they share a little bit and they become friends a little bit. So, everybody introduces itself. Depending of how many people are, you don't want them to start speaking. If you have many people, you tell them keep it brief, because it will not have the time to finish the thing. But you play by ear. Really, if you have just a small group of people and they want to speak a little bit more, well, people sometimes like to speak about themselves, although we do not promote it. Because what we promote people is to forget about themselves. To speak about themselves. So after that, I explain them the first meditation. The easiest way to put someone into meditation is the chant. But you need to explain it well. Now, the essential thing of the chant, different people will take the chant in different ways. But what you have, if they have done mantra, meditation, or they will find it natural, but maybe for some other person that hasn't done nothing like that, he might not find it natural or find it strange. So it is important that you take away all that prejudices of the thing, and you tell them this is an exercise, a physical exercise, because we are going to breathe and move the muscles, like when you run. So when you run, and everybody has gone running, or most of the people have gone running, right? More in this country. When you run, what do? You breathe, because you breathe in harmony with your movement. Anybody that has run knows that. And you move these muscles. Well, the only thing is that we are going to move subtle muscles. We are going to move these muscles. And we are going to move these muscles, which are the muscles with which we speak without saying nothing. And this has an effect in itself, because most of the thought is verbal thought. So, and verbal thought is connected with these muscles, intimately connected with these muscles.
What muscles are these?
With what you speak, the ones that you move when
Like
you say
vocal
hello.
cords?
Yeah,
Vocal cords?
vocal cords. I mean, when you speak, you move these, you move the tongue, the mouth, all these muscles, this group of muscles, tongue, mouth, vocal cords, all this system is what you move when you speak. And you move it very subtly. It is connected to the precortical cortex, and it's subtle movements, because you sing, you do all sorts of things with these muscles, and you express all sorts of concepts and ideas, and you can express yourself in different languages. So it's sophisticated set of muscles that is connected to the precordial frontex and that is connected to verbal thought. Most of thought is verbal, normally in people, unless you know you are a very, very experienced meditator. 99.999% of people, majority of thoughts are verbal thoughts. When you have when you are thinking verbally, some people you've seen or you might have found yourself speaking while you think, because the verbal thought is connected to this muscle. So that's why you are thinking something and you even move a little bit your lips, because you are thinking what you are thinking, it is connected. So you artificially disconnect that channel, because you have your body giving instructions. I mean, you are giving instructions to these muscles to move, saying Aim Krim Krim Chamundaya Viche Che, but your verbal thought doesn't stop. And then what happens is that it creates a little disruption in the normal state of affairs, in how the mind works, and you can perceive the verbal thoughts differentiated from the movement of your mouth. So that is the effect that it produces. And how you do the technique is you observe yourself repeating the mantra. So you observe how your lips move, you observe how these muscles move, you observe the vibration of your voice in your body, you observe the sensations of the body, you observe the involuntary movement of a muscle, you observe everything that you become aware, but you are there like sitting down, observing yourself, doing this exercise. In the same way that somehow you observe yourself when you are running. And you have kind of a permanent observation of yourself. Well, here you just do that, you observe yourself. When you have thoughts, you just let them go, because you bring back your attention to observing yourself, repeating the mantra. And that's the exercise. And you explain it as an exercise. And you tell them, at the same time, we are all going to be breathing at the same time. So we will be, every round is 5 minutes. Myself personally, if the session has gone swiftly, means that I do 3 rounds. If I see that I am not going to have time, people have arrived late, or they spoke a lot and I have less time, then I do only 1 round, but it is effective as from the 3rd round. So it's better to do 3 rounds. You tell them that while we are doing this meditation, they are all breathing at the same time. And it looks like a stupidity. But once you get a group breathing at the same time for 15 minutes, you create an energy within that group, a feeling of closeness between all the members of that group, which is very palpable. In fact, a friend of mine, who is not only a friend of mine, but the secretary of the foundation in Spain, Jordi, that he works for the International Peace Center in Barcelona, and that he has been part of many peace mediation negotiations in places like Afghanistan and all these areas. He once suggested me it would be good, to take, all the Taliban when we met in these tables, all the people there say to make them do 3 rounds, three rounds of the chant to get them, in synchrony with each other, so that the conversations after it would work. The problem is to convince to convince them to do it. But it would work, because it works naturally. It happens because you are breathing at the same time, and breath and the frequencies of the mind are interrelated in subtle ways, and you create this situation. So in explaining the pranayama mantra, you explain it as and you tell them to take it with a sportive spirit. You know, the sportive spirit, you say. So like when you run, you tell them that like any exercise, they'll get tired. Because the first time you do it, you get tired, and the typical thought that they will get is, what the hell I'm doing this, repeating this, I mean, what the fuck? What is this? So, you explain them when they have that thought, which is something that they can expect to have, or how boring to repeat this, whatever the thought is, tell them to just let the thought go as if it was someone else that was thinking it. Like if it was not his thought. Let go like if it was someone else. And just continue observing themselves with a sportive spirit, you know, with the spirit of the Yankees. No, this time they didn't win. No. Who are the winners this time? Whomever. So, you know, and just continue doing it. And have, you know, kind of a curiosity, scientific mind. Let us see what happens. You explain them that it has to be done in one breath, that I don't need to go through it, that you start more slowly, then you go more quickly, then you go more slowly. And then the last one you explain them, it's very important. While they are doing it, Aim Rim Krim Chamundaya Vicheche, Aim Rim Krim Chamundaya Vicheche. If they need more air, they have to push the stomach in. So, Aim Rim Krim Chamundaya Vicheche. If they need more air, if not, but if they feel that they need more air, they don't breathe in again, no. They push the stomach in. One of the things that this technique does, it empties this low area of the lungs of this dead air that we normally don't move because we breathe mainly with the upper part of the lungs. So, Aim Hrim Krim Chamundaya Vicheche, like when you sing, you sing from here, so Aim Hrim Krim Chamundaya Vicheche. They can even observe how when they do Aim Hrim Krim Chamundaya Vicheche, that the abdomen pushes up the sound and the air, no? Another thing that is important is that they pronounce as good as possible in the sense that it's aim. It's not aim or aim. It has a vibrant M. Hrim is an H with a vibrant M, and cream, like in cream, chocolate ice cream. You were going to ask?
Oh, I was going to just say, which, you know, I find is helpful in explaining from a scientific point of view, the chanting, and you know, it's an exhalation process, and you know, it's an abdominal, and this exhalation process promotes the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and release, versus when you're doing an inhalation, it's activating the sympathetic system, which is causing or promoting a fight or flight. So just in this exhalation process, you are stimulating the body to go into, it's telling the body to go into rest and release. And I find that for Americans is helpful.
Any explanation that makes them feel comfortable, right, that they look it as an exercise, that they take all the
toxins that when
Or
you do it
the
from this
paraphernalia, you know, just do it as an exercise. Just do it and observe yourself as an exercise. What else? Another thing that you can explain them so that they understand what kind of breathing exercise is this. It's very easy to do the following exercise, which is you breathe in very quickly and you just let the air go out by itself. Do it now.
shallow.
Just let, by itself, little by little, till it stops by itself. And when it stops, you don't even breathe in again. You just let it till you want to breathe again, and you just do it very quickly. And let it go out by itself. And you just leave it there until you breathe in again, and you let it out by itself till it nearly stops at the end. And you let it stop until by itself you breathe in again very quickly. And you open your eyes. And you will have seen that breath tends to stop at the end and it relaxes a lot the body. So you are doing this breathing combined with the repetition of the mantra, which in its own vibration it has an effect, but you don't need to get into that. Or you can tell them, according to the classical tradition, also this sound has an effect on you, but it is not a language, so there is no meaning. You can tell them that if they look in Google, they will find many interpretations, but not that there is a meaning, because aim is not a word, hrim is not a word, cream is not a word. And they will say, oh, cream is the sound or the vibration of Kali, and then they say Kali, yeah, but no. Cream is not a word, Kali is a word, cream is a sound. So you explain them these things, and then you explain them also that the last one, they filling well the lungs and empty the lungs well, Em, Hrim, Krim, Chamunda, Ye, Che, Che, and the last Che is just to push the last little bit of air. And then you just naturally you will breathe in and you leave your breath completely alone, and what will happen is that it will repeat that scheme of the breath, that you will breathe in quickly, and then it will start going down by itself, little by little, little by little, little by little, and will stop at the end. And when it stops, they will feel this deep feeling of quietude. And you explain them to let that happen. They don't need to observe the quietude. They just need to let it be. Let be the quietude. And they will stay there, and you leave them there, till your breathing starts all over again, and you breathe a couple of times, but not forcing it, just naturally. And then you start the second round, and the same thing between the second round and the third round. Previously, as they have explained their experience in meditation, and if not, you have asked them, for the people that meditate with mantra, you tell them to meditate with whatever mantra they meditate. For the many people that have done mindfulness of some description, everybody will tell you about meditating with your breathing. Well, you tell them to meditate with the breathing, and that's it. And then you meditate and you use the gong or one of these bowls, and you will do the rhythm that I will get into it. Yeah, why not? I will get into it. But it's important that you explain them, because although they might, some of them may have never meditated, so you have to explain it in any case. But even if all of them have meditated, it's very important to explain them the essential concepts of the meditation techniques. There are different meditation techniques. And the ones that we are starting with are what the Buddhists call shamatha, or concentration. So, in the techniques that we could put under the class of concentration techniques, okay, you know, you can put it a name or not put it a name, but there are techniques that use an object of the senses to keep your attention holding in that object of the senses. So the object of the senses can be of touching, of hearing, or of seeing. And in fact, during the course you are going to teach them one of each, Tratak, mantra, and this is the general meditation with the breathing. The essence of that is the following. When you are meditating, there are kind of, we could say, a process of perception where in one side is the subject, which is you, the I, the perceiver. On the other side is the object, which is what is perceived, and you know, the act of perception. While you are meditating, you are going to perceive different objects. Some of the objects will be external objects. For example, a cough in the room, someone coughs in the room, or a car goes by, or someone didn't put the telephone down and sounds, or you name it. External sounds, external objects. Any external object will start and finish. You know, a car will do vroom, a cough will do the telephone will do tring-tron, tring-tron, and we finish. So it's like within the silence, in the sea of silence of the room, objects appear and disappear. You have your eyes closed, so you are seeing nothing. Objects appear and disappear. And then you will have inner objects. And inner objects will be sensations in the body, will be involuntary movements of the body, because the body might involuntarily move associated with a thought maybe. And you will have mainly thoughts. The main component, the main objects that you will be perceiving are thoughts. Now, if you are able to hold your attention gently in your breathing, like when you are watching the chimney, that you are, when you sit down to watch the chimney, you are holding your attention in an object, visual object in this case, external, but for the case it's the same. There is the subject, which is the eye, the object, which is the chimney, and the act of perceiving the chimney, and then around that I am perceiving my body, the heat of the chimney in my body, and my thoughts. But my attention is so much kind of drawn to the chimney that I let the thoughts go. I'm aware they are there, but then thoughts start appearing and disappearing. So when you say you put your attention in your breath, it's like putting the attention on your chimney, because breathing is the chimney of the body. You are burning the oxygen, and it's a very amusing chimney to, your attention can be caught easily in this chimney. You just need to gently, nicely put all the importance in this chimney that you are observing, which is your breathing, i.e. your body, because it's detached. And this is the example in meditating with your breath. With the mantra is the same, but with an auditive object. And with Tratak is the same, but with a visual object, which is like the chimney. So you just put the attention in that object and let all the objects appear and disappear, and consider your thoughts as if they were thoughts of someone else, like it had nothing to do with you. The problem is that we are attached to our thoughts, because our thoughts, our identity is Ahamkara is the main creator of thoughts, of the kind of thoughts that the mind constantly has, which is bullshit. It's garbage thoughts. People don't go their day thinking wise thoughts all day. More or less they wake up thinking about what is the next thing I'm going to complain about. And things like that. So, thoughts, they have to do a lot with identity, with your worries, with your anxieties, your desires, with all that sense of being an I that has to be protected. So, it's a good attitude to, regard thoughts as they will be doing this just after the cream, and they have already regarded the thoughts of what a stupidity repeating this as if someone else was thinking it. So they could do the same thing with other thoughts that they might be more attached to. But try to just let them go. I would not use the word try, just let them go and just, enjoy your breathing. But if you get entangled in your thoughts, you don't fight against it. And that is the typical bad explanation. While you are aware of your breathing, you just let your thoughts unfold. You leave your mind alone. Let the mind do whatever it wants to do. You just keep your awareness in your breath. You only react to one thought. In fact, meditation is basically do nothing. It could be as simple as sit down, do nothing. No, but then you want to do this and want to do that, want to breathe of this way, you don't want to have those thoughts, so you are always wanting to do, but the reality is do nothing. Well, in this technique, the only thing you have to do is whenever in your consciousness or in your awareness arises the thought, I've lost awareness of my breathing, you just, whatever your mind was doing, if it was speaking with the guy in the bank, or if it was doing the shopping in Stop and Shop, or whatever the mind could be doing, you just leave it, you just tell to yourself, well, now I'm sitting down here, still, and I cannot change the story of the bank, neither do the Stop and Shop shopping, or whatever the case might be, you just let it go. And if you think you were thinking something important, let it go also, because if it is really important, it will come back. And if it doesn't come back, it was not important. So you just let that, and you do it how? You do it by changing your attention to your breathing, from the thought, from the story you were telling yourself, to your breathing, letting that story go. And you do that as many times as you require during meditation. Another thing very important to tell people is that they are meditating in the same way when they have lots of thoughts and they have to keep going back to the breathing one another time, one another time, one another time, as when they have these meditations where they get into their breathing and they have this wonderful, peaceful experience of depth, you know. Both meditations are necessary, and in fact, naturally, they will alternate. They will have a few days of one, a few days of another, a few days of one, a few days of another. And that will change, that pattern will change over time. But it is very important when you are discarding the thought and bringing your attention back to your breathing, because what you are developing is a muscle that you want to exercise in your daily life, which is discard your thoughts. You are developing the muscle of discarding your thoughts. When we don't discard our thoughts is, you know, when we get angry. When we get angry and we react to a situation, it's because our thoughts are ourselves, you know, and this is mine or this is me, and I'm not going to let go of this, because where would I be if I let go? That's a good question. What would you be without your story, as Byron Katie used to say? Exactly. What would you be without that story? I mean, and are you that story really? And what is that story apart from impressions? So it's, in meditation, you will have both meditations, and both are good and both are necessary. The fact of having many thoughts in a meditation and, you know, get the breathing, back to the breathing, and minute and a half afterwards, blah, 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 back to the breathing. That is, you are like gymnastics, you know, you are training yourself to let go of a thought. And how this will manifest in your life is that one day you are there, you get angry, but there is that little distance that you have developed enough to discard the thought before you react. And if you discard it, once you discard it, then you don't react. Then you respond to the situation. So you explain them this, and then you do the chant, and you meditate for, I would say the first day 14 minutes, not more. The first night 14 minutes.
14?
14 minutes, yeah.
That's
Using
an
the
interesting
gong,
number.
as we are using the example, or 16, I think it is, 16.
Yeah, it's just a weird number.
Using the gong, the tempos of the gong are very simple to know by heart. It's always the same. You can do as short as 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 4, 6, 6, 3, 3, 6, or 8, 8, 4, 4, 8. This means times 1 minute, times half a minute, times 1 minute, times 2 minutes, and then 1 gong, and then 8 minutes silence, or 6 minutes silence, or 4 minutes silence, or 2 minutes silence. So you give the gong, boom, you wait 1 minute, you give the gong again, you wait 1 minute, and then you give the gong again, you wait half a minute, you give the gong again, you wait half a minute, you give the gong again, you wait 1 minute, you give the gong again, you wait 2 minutes, you give the gong, and 2 minutes in silence. So this would be 2 minutes plus 1 minute plus another minute plus 2 minutes plus 2 minutes. So this is 2 plus 2, 4, 6, 8 minutes meditation. This is a 16 minutes meditation. This is, I believe it is 24 minutes meditation, and this is 32 minutes meditation. It's very easy to calculate. This would be 8 minutes, this would be 4 minutes, this would be 4 minutes again, this would be 8 minutes, and 8 minutes. So 8 and 8, 16. You see how I do it?
Yeah.
So you just, is divide by half. 2, 2, 1, 1, 2. And you could do it, the next one that you can divide by half, that would be 10. 10, 10, 5, 5, 10. And you do a much longer meditation. But that's the rhythm, the tempo.
What I found helpful was when I realized that pranayama for a
16,
Or
8.
16 and 8.
for 16.8 equals 28 seconds. So you could do a pranayama for every 30 seconds of timing rather than always look at a clock. Just keep your eyes closed, do your own pranayama.
Yeah, you can do that.
Too.
The one that plays the gong, well, it's good to maintain the rhythm as it is marked. It's like the rhythm of the tabla, it has a purpose in it. So, normally I give the gong and I know naturally when to open my eyes, and normally I open them 2-3 seconds before. Sometimes I open them and I'm 5 seconds after. But it's good to try to keep it as it is, and you can use tricks like that. Okay, my pranayamas are 28 seconds, so I do 2. That's 1 minute, and then you open the eyes, and just 2 seconds for 1 minute, and so now whomever plays the gong can find the best way to do it. So this would be the tempos of the gong. And now to finish the class, I'm going to put a little video, short video of Guru Raj, because this that I am giving you is somehow knowledge, which is, for that respect, information. But what you want to teach, information that is good that you have. I'm not kind of saying that knowledge is bad, it's good, but it's not what you are going to give. You want to give your own wisdom, your own knowingness. So I'm going to put an 18 minutes video of Guru Raj that speaks about this, and I may stop it to add a little comment here or there, and then we can have a little bit of questions and answers. ¿Dónde está el mando de la tele?
Aquí. Una cosa, ¿no? El tema de los tiempos depende de las rondas que se hagan, ¿no? Eso lo has dicho.
Ah, bueno,
Da igual.
no, hombre, da igual. Isabel was telling me the timings depends on the number of rounds. Well, obviously, when you do, 5 or 7 or 9 rounds, you will tend to do a 6 or 8 meditation, a longer meditation. If you do 1 round, people have arrived for the first time, they are all new in meditation, you might just do 1 round and an 8-minute meditation. You play by ear. Obviously, the more rounds you do, the longer the meditation will follow.
HDMI 1. No signal. Please check the power of the device and cable connection status, or press the input on your
She
remote to
speaks
change
so
to another
quickly.
input.
That was bad.
That's faster than
But don't waste time.
Beloved Guru Raj, can you tell us what the difference is between knowledge and knowingness?
Knowledge is an acquisition which is acquired by study. Right? And you can study all the books in the world, yet it will not bring a knowingness at all. Because the knowledge contained in all the various literatures of the world, and I can quote to you Fichte and Leibniz and Kant and Schopenhauer and Spencer and you name it. But that is not my knowledge. Right. That is someone else's knowledge which I am trying to absorb. What effect does it have on your brain? Does it give you a greater understanding, or does it give you greater confusion? Because one philosopher will say one thing and another philosopher will say another thing, and when you try and compare the various philosophies or metaphysics of the world, you will become more and more befuddled, because there are so many contradictions. One says this, the other says that. One goes into dualism while another would go into neo-dualism, while the third would go into monism. So where do you stand? What are you going to decide upon? Right. And any decision you make of any philosophy will be dependent entirely upon your mind, or the patternings of your mind will accept knowledge. If you are patterned in a certain way, then that's the knowledge you will accept. Then your mind would be reverted in that direction. And reverting the mind in that particular direction limits you. And that is knowledge. So knowledge brings about limitation. It brings about a bondage, but it does not bring about freedom. When it does not bring about freedom and you are so involved in bondage, then you are bound to a certain thought, a certain philosophy, certain conditioning. Now, if you are conditioned, then how can you find freedom? Because the very limitation will stop you from progressing. By all means, do study the works of the so-called masters. And if those masters were self-realized men, they would say, do not follow my path. Read or listen to what I have to say. But that is not enough. That is not the end. Read everything. Acquire the knowledge that you want to acquire. But do not be bound by it. That is what a true spiritual master will tell you. But they don't. Everyone wants to push his own philosophy. Now that is acquired knowledge. And when you acquire something, remember always that it will be discarded. Today you follow the philosophy of Fichte or Leibniz, and then tomorrow you would turn to Kant or Schopenhauer. Right. So do you see the fickleness of knowledge? Knowledge is fickle. Knowledge is necessary, for example, to do one's work. You want to be an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor. And yet their knowledges differ so much. If you have some illness and you go to 5 different doctors, each and every one of them will give you a different prescription.
Unless they work for the same insurance.
So what is the medical knowledge worth? Nothing. So this applies to every aspect of knowledge. You go to a lawyer, for example, with a problem. One lawyer will give you a certain formulation on how to do your case. Then you go to another lawyer and he will give you his formulation. And knowledge is also based on a belief system. You believe this to be so. You believe these flowers to be white. But I can prove to you that they are not white. Knowledge is dependent on perception. And perception, in turn, is dependent upon your patterning, your background, perhaps through many, many lifetimes. So these patterns are formed so that you try and approach knowledge in a particular road. You take a particular road to find what you are seeking And what you're really trying to seek in knowledge is just self-affirmation, self-confirmation of that which is in your mind already. Now, when it comes to wisdom, that's it. That just comes and bubbles up.
Which means that within doing this, in this case, I am putting kind of a guide of how to do this. For example, in a weekend, I will start by there, but we will get through all the points that are part of what a teacher teaches. What you do is you let it flow, you let it come from you. All that knowledge, all those satsangs, whatever you have assimilated is there. Whatever you have not assimilated is not there. You can only share what you have. So the only thing is that you have to open yourself up and flow and do it sincerely, honestly, from your heart, giving yourself and putting yourself in the hands of God, that you do to begin with in the class, acknowledging that you can do what you can do and the rest it has to be here.
Does the spring require knowledge for itself to bubble? No. It bubbles by itself. And to find wisdom is never to seek for it. It comes on its own. Only thing that is required, that you've got to unpattern the patternings in your mind created by knowledge. And when that unpatterning occurs, then wisdom just bubbles up. I speak from that inner self, which we can call wisdom. Now, where does your wisdom lie? Not in your wisdom tooth. It lies in the heart. It lies in the heart. Now, through spiritual practices, when the heart is more and more opened, greater and greater awareness dawns. And awareness has nothing to do with knowledge. When I was a boy of 8, I used to recite the Mahabharata to my mother and father. And there were passages that I couldn't understand. So I said, what does this mean? He said, don't you worry about meaning. You just carry on reciting. But the very recitation sank deep into the subconscious mind until it reached the level of the superconscious mind. And that is where all wisdom stems from. From that level of the superconscious mind. So, it is not difficult to tap that superconscious level. It is there. All wisdom is there within you, but you're cluttering up the wisdom by acquired knowledge. And when you try and acquire things, what are you really acquiring? Acquisition. Right. You buy a Rolls Royce. Like I believe some guru here that skips the country has 71 Rolls Royces. I haven't even got a bicycle. Yeah. So knowledge comes from bookwork. You can turn pages and pages and pages and pages. And if you have a retentive memory, you will remember all these things. Pardon? I remember nothing. If you asked me 10 minutes later, Guruji, what did you speak about? I wouldn't know. A true spiritual master not only imparts wisdom, but also with every word, with every intonation of his voice or inflection, he imparts a spiritual force to bring about the awakening in the hearts of men. And when that awakening dawns more and more and more, there's a greater and greater peace and love you will find. While knowledge leads, as I said before, to confusion. Based on, to repeat again, on belief systems. Yes, they believe all kinds of things.
So that's the main purpose of a teacher, to share its knowingness, which means that although the first times that you do it, you know, you may want to kind of have a little guideline or a little something, i.e. you are using a little bit of knowledge, you know, but the objective, the goal is when you can just flow in the class, you know, when you can just give yourself, give your knowingness, honestly, sincerely, from the heart. I'm explaining the things which are technical, like the meditation techniques and the different spiritual practices as technical things, and concepts like the concepts that, you know, are important to, and, you know, Guru Raj taught them, but all traditions teach them, like how the mind works, or the nature of the mind, or, you know, what is karma or evolution, which is the same thing. The question is why I am here and I have such a form. I'm not any other, you know. All these things, you know, are things that you are going to explain, but you are also going to explain them from a knowledge acquired, but also from your own experience. At the end, what you are going to give is your own experience of that. Your own experience, you will only be able to transmit your experience of unity. And to continue with, one thing that is very effective is precisely the voice, intonation, and topics of Guru Raj. So it's good to put, even if it is a first course, you know, a selected piece of something. You know, for teachers, I have a selection of videos that go very well. We will go through the training course through all of these videos, and when I use them to explain what concepts. But that is in essence a little bit what would be the first class. Well, the first class, we have not finished with the first class, but it's too late, 9:10. Because after the meditation, you know, I'm explaining it to you how to explain it. When you do it more quickly, you know. But the next thing I explain you is the contents of the course, which is the concept of the day, which is a very simple way to teach, because with respect to the objectives with a student is that he applies the discipline of meditation in his life.
No signal. Please check the power of the device and cable connection status. Workers unable or remote to check the power input.
Hello.
HDMI 1.
My God, I'm going to put it down. So, anyhow, questions?
Very self-explanatory. The way that he explained is very clear. Knowledge is limit belief. Wisdom is
Comes by naturally.
it's a dream from the heart.
Exactly, which means that, you know, that wisdom will use the elements of knowledge it has. To put an example, you know, that wisdom might be expressing in a painter that is painting, and that wisdom will use the knowledge of how to handle colors, how to this, that, the other. But if the painter is a genius, you know, that is beyond the technique. If you are not beyond the technique is just the only thing there. So it's not that knowledge, you know, you don't need to read books, as he says in the Satsanga. For God's sake, learn everything you need to learn, but go beyond it. Don't be bound to that knowledge. Be free of that knowledge. Just use it, you know, because it is going to express that wisdom or that knowingness or that spirit is going to express through the instruments it has. And those instruments, when we are speaking about the mind, the intellect, are those patterns, that information which is there stored, you know. And that's why, you know, in a mystical, devotional ecstasies, a Hindu will see Krishna and a Christian Christ and a rabbi to the prophets, you know, because that's what you have in your mind. And you use that knowledge as a vehicle for that experience of, you know, of connection. So the important thing is the experience, the energy or the wisdom or the rising of this experience, which comes from the heart. And then through the mind, and depending on what are the contents in the mind, it uses those contents to express it in a certain way.
I have a very practical question. Did you say that if people have meditated before in your first class and they have a mantra, that they should use their mantra?
Yeah, for the first class, you tell them
For the
to
first class.
meditate however they meditate normally. You know? You could even say, well, we are going to, I normally say the first day to meditate everybody with the breathing. Because normally everybody is what they are used to do. Not so many people meditate with mantras, unless they come from TM. But well, if they come from TM, they want to do their mantra, it's the same. If you put a good explanation of how it is to meditate with the breathing, you can just capture their attention and they will all meditate with the breathing. You can even say it. In reality, it's better that they all meditate using the same technique. So maybe it's a good idea to tell them meditate with breathing technique. You know, in Spain is what I do, but here, as people have so many techniques and go to so many different places, you know, you never know. You know, they might be offended. But yes, you know, breathing is a good idea to make them all meditate with breathing for the first time, for the first day. More questions?
The chant, you said just let them know, and we do that too, just say their sounds, that it doesn't mean anything, the
Yeah.
chant.
That the most important thing is that they are not saying anything in any language. That according to the ancient rishis, if you want to say, or to the classical ancient teachings, you know, those sounds were considered that they carried an energy that was a purifying energy. You just can give them, you can make those sounds, relate them to something which is divine or purely or good or feminine. You can speak them that they represent the feminine, the goddess. It's kind of the mantra to the goddess. Now it's very much in fashion, so you know, you can say we are singing to the goddess. That's, you know, it's good if they put a little bit of devotion. Not everybody has it, but if they put a little bit of devotion in the chanting, it works even better. More questions? Practical questions are good, because those are the things.
If you don't have a gong and you want to use it, would you use a tape recording, or do
No,
you
I
think
would use one of the
Singing
bowl.
bowl.
Singing bowl.
just blanket?
Yeah, Blanca bowl. I use the what I use in Spain when I travel to one place or another in
Yeah.
schools is a bowl, and you just
In asana.
not like this. You do like this, just one touch in the bowl, and you can buy bowls for $200, $250. Nice bowls with a nice sound. More questions?
Ramon, where did you say these will be shown? If you go to IFSU, New York, we can see that. Is it on Facebook or on the...
I can show you. In Facebook, one question, because that is a way. You know, we have this group, sorry, I need to put the woman, this woman. This is stressed out woman.
The fast talker.
It's
We're back on. I think we're here. I never heard that fast.
Now, in Facebook, you know this group. I've sent it to, I think, everybody, but if you write it there, is facebook.com groups IFSU New York, IFSU New York. And then you have here in themes, I have it in Spanish, but you will have it in English. It will say popular themes or themes. You have opening of the ashram, weekend live broadcast, advanced training, next broadcast. Well, in next broadcast, you have the ongoing broadcast. For example, now, I don't have this one connected to the internet, by the way, so I'm not going to be able to show you. I disconnected it from the internet.
Hay que conectar cada vez.
No, I disconnected myself, the computer, from the internet, so that, you know, during the meditation we didn't have these typical sounds when you are connected to the internet, or of a mail arriving or whatever. Let me connect to the internet and I show you. Activate Wi-Fi.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Ciao, Sandra. Ciao, John.
Take care, guys.
So now, here you have, in this area here, can you see the cursor here?
Where?
You have opening of the ashram. Well, in next broadcast, you have the next broadcast. For example, now we have this broadcast, which is here, which we are broadcasting now. If I would put there play, no. What do you mean? It should be in the next broadcast. Why am I not in next broadcast? Here, yeah, this is the one. So if I click here, we would be seeing ourselves, no? And then in advanced training, I will be putting all the ones you have already, the one of today, and you have the one of last Thursday, and I will put them here also. Of the broadcasts that we do the weekends, there will be in weekend live broadcasts. And there are the weekend live broadcasts. Here you have the weekend live broadcast of last weekend. And on the other one, which is opening of the ashram, you have all the videos from the opening. So if you go to the group, you have them all there, and I will keep them there easy. If you have a Facebook account,
Yes.
that most people have, that's an easy way to have everything handy for everybody.
So this class is advanced training.
Yeah, it's what I'm calling advanced training, in the sense that, it's just to get in depth of the teach, how you teach other people, things that you have to take into consideration, how to explain the practices well, and many things. I'm going to explain in many different things. The result of many hours listening to satsangs, teaching to different people. So basically transferring you my experience the best I can, so that you can take advantage of it.
Muy bien.
Muy bien. Okay, so we call it a wrap then.
It's a wrap.
So if we just wanted to just skip, I guess, checks to you, or to
Maria will
Maria?
collect the checks. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So,
About that PDF of the ongoing activities, because I can't print it.
Yeah, that PDF, Peg, don't you know? Yeah, do you know this thing that you did put in Constant Connect?
Yeah. Peg, yeah.
Peg. Well, Peg will have it. If not,
That's Peg, okay, yeah.
if not, what I can do is I do one, putting more things that I am putting. So I will update it a little bit, but I didn't have time today.
No, that's fine, no problem.
But I will do it, and I will have it ready tomorrow.
Okay.
So if you
Because
come
I'm just
over,
doing a couple of programs, so I'd like to.
when are you doing it?
Monday.
Monday. Okay. So if you come over tomorrow when you have
Or maybe
a,
Monday morning I'll come over.
or Monday morning. I will do them, you know, between this afternoon and early tomorrow, because I have it there in the list to do it for you.
Oh, you could make a copy or you can send a?
Well, I will do the PDF